Hi everybody, I'm Stacy, and recently I created a blog post that discusses how to afford a wedding at Disney. A lot of people have the misconception that a Disney wedding is very expensive, and it can be if you want like the glitz and the glamour, such as having it at Magic Kingdom, including the Cinderella coach. If you have a lot of people, the prices can get up there. But if you can afford like a typical $20,000 to $40,000 ballroom wedding, you can definitely afford a Disney wedding. And I discuss some tips and tricks on how to lower the prices in my blog post. I will put a link in the description box. So from this blog post, I received a lot of questions as to the process that you go through with the Disney weddings. So I'm just going to do this Q&A for all these people asking me for this information. Okay, so let's get started. First, which package did you go with, and how many people are you allowed to bring? So Disney right now has 3 packages on their website, and each package is geared towards the amount of guests that you're bringing. So the first package is the memories, and with memories you're allowed to bring 4 people and then plus the couple, so it's a total of 6 people in your wedding. The second package is escape, and for that it's for 18 guests plus the couple, so a total of 20 people. And then the one package above that is the wishes package, and that's the package the majority of the people are going to get because it's greater than 18 guests, and that's the package I got. There isn't a maximum amount of people, so I'm assuming Disney has a location for whatever number of guests that you bring. And actually the way it works is when you go see the wedding planner, the first question they're going to ask you is how many guests. And then from that number that you give them, they will tell you, okay, these are the locations that will hold that many people for you to pick from. Okay, so next question, when to start planning? Now, I know some advice that I've heard out there, that to always plan a year, even 2 years in advance, because some of these venues are very, very popular and they book up quickly. So I had that same idea with Disney, and I called immediately right after I got engaged. And they asked me, when is your desired wedding date? And when I gave them my wedding date, they actually told me I was too early, and that they don't start booking people until 18 months in advance. So now, this 18 months in advance is actually just to meet the wedding planner. It's to ask all your questions. It's to get all of the information. And then you don't really start planning your wedding until 1 year in advance. And Disney is very structured. So they do things. This is what happens at this time. This is what happens at this mark. This is what happens at this mark. So I'm pretty sure you can plan a Disney wedding with 6 months notice. They're on top of everything. Can you get a quote beforehand? So they don't give you okay, this is what your package is going to cost. What they do is they'll tell you, okay, so this is the price of this location, if you wanted it at, let's say, Epcot or Animal Kingdom, or if you wanted it at a resort, this is the price for this. This is the price for the food. This is the price for the decor. This is what it costs, let's say if you want characters. This is the price for the entertainment. And they have a really, really big list of everything that you can purchase. And then basically what you do is you like pick and choose what you want in your wedding, and you just kind of like add it up, and that's kind of like your estimated price. And then at the same time, like I did it the other way around. I had a budget, and from that budget I was subtracting, okay, this is what it cost for this location, this is what my food is going to cost, so now I have this much amount of money to spend on floral, or this is how much money I have left to spend on this. So I did it backwards. But basically, every wedding is unique, and it doesn't just come like as a one price fits all, because you are allowed to pick and choose what you want and how much you want of it. So everybody's wedding is a different price. So that's up to you to really zone in and budget. Make sure you stay on your budget. Another question, what's included in the price? So this question, when they asked me, they were actually referring to the fact that they heard that Disney provides you with a wedding planner, and if that's something that you have to pay extra. Disney does provide wedding planners, and it's not something you pay for extra. Disney does not play around. Like, you are not allowed to just walk in there and plan your own wedding, because Disney has boundaries and rules, and the wedding planner is going to tell you this is what has to be done in this way. So it's actually really nice too, because I didn't have to worry about anything. They took care of everything. All I had to do was tell them, you know, this is my style, these are the colors I want, this is the theme I want, and she took care of everything. I didn't worry about anything. Another question, can you bring your own photographer? Yes, you are allowed to bring an outside photographer. Like if you know somebody, a friend of the family is a photographer, your best friend's a photographer, or if you just want to save money on pictures, you are allowed to bring your own photographer. Here's the catch. Disney is going to make your photographer sign a contract, basically saying that whatever pictures they take belongs to Disney. So they are not allowed to post it like on their own personal website, on Facebook, on Instagram, in their portfolio. The photographer themselves are not allowed to like advertise that they did a Disney wedding, look at my work. No, that's not going to happen, because technically Disney owns these pictures. But the photographer can give the pictures to you, the bride, and then you are allowed to post them on social media, wherever you want, and advertise them that way. That's fine. But if your photographer, you know, wants to show off that they did a Disney wedding, they're going to get sued. So that's the only backdraw to that. And some advice on bringing your own photographer, because I brought my own photographer. Disney weddings, like that's their job, and everything is structured and everything is timed. So they're very good at hitting the marks at the right time. So like before the wedding, you're given an hour to do, you know, your pictures with your bridesmaids and stuff like that, and pictures around the resort or the park, wherever you are. And a Disney photographer knows what's the good spot at what time, you know, for the lighting and for everything like that. And then they actually have a route mapped out that we're going to be at this location at this time, this location at this time. So they like have a good time frame. With my photographer, he didn't know any of that. So he didn't know if to pose us, you know, this way because the light was shining this way, or if to pose us over here because the light was shining this way. And we were walking around like exhausted for an hour, just walking in circles. So my advice to you, I would take a Disney photographer. If anything, invest your money in the Disney photographer. Next question. Ooh, it's like thundering and lightning outside. I love thunderstorms. What kind of discounts that was a big one. Okay. What kind of discounts do your guests get for staying at the resort? And how do you book the Disney resort for your guest? So you yourself as the bride, you don't have to book any of this for your guests. You're given kind of like a code and a website for Disney events, and you give that to your guests. And your guests can call themselves or go online to this website, and they're going to put in that code. And when you put in that code, it's going to say, like for us, Chris and Stacy's wedding on this day at this time, just to double check that you got the right one. And then it's going to have the list of the different hotels, and you just like click, I want this hotel, and there's going to be a calendar. You pick from this day to this day. It'll give you the total, and you just do everything online. And then for people like old-fashioned people that are hesitant to do things over the internet, you can do it over the phone as well. They'll give you a phone number to do all of this. Okay, and then when it comes for discounts, so I don't know how many of you are annual pass holders, but for me as an annual pass holder, we're given certain discounts like to stay on Disney property. And in my mentality, I'm here thinking like, great, I'm going to pick the cheapest hotel, which is the All-Stars, and I'm going to pay like $60, okay? That's not how it works. Disney doesn't want your $60. Disney wants their money, and they want you to pay like over $200, okay? So only certain resorts are available for annual pass discounts. The same thing works for the Disney weddings. You're going to pick certain hotels. I believe it's 3. I think I picked 3 hotels. You're going to pick 3 hotels, and only those 3 hotels are what's going to be given at a discounted rate. And then, like, when I say discounted rate, like maybe the original price could be anywhere between $200 to $400, and they're going to end up paying $250. So it's really up to you, like, if you think that's a good deal. Like, I mean, it is a good deal, but like, did you even want to spend $250 on a hotel? Okay. Or you can just keep quiet and just say, hey, these are the discounts available for you. Another option that you have here at Walt Disney World, there's like tons of hotels on the perimeter of Disney. So you can probably find something cheaper there. Oh yes, and then I said you pick 3 hotels, right? Okay. How do guests get around, and do they need a theme park ticket? So if your guests are staying on Disney property, you will rent like a charter bus. It's kind of like the same buses, like the Magical Express that you get that picks you up from the airport. You're going to rent one of those. And you're going to give your wedding planner the different hotels that your guests chose to stay at. And then this bus is going to pick them up at the resorts. And the bus is going to take them to the ceremony. And then after the ceremony, they're going to take them to the reception area. So your guests do not need a theme park ticket. And then also they're going to give you like 2 people to like usher your guests around and tell them which way to go, because I know some people think you're just going to sneak into the perks. And there's like people watching your guests. And then another thing for those guests that end up staying off of Disney property, what they can do is, as long as you have a vehicle, you just drive your vehicle to the ceremony location, and you just park in their parking lot and go to the ceremony. And then from there, you just get on the bus and you follow the rest of the crowd. After the wedding, the bus comes and they drop you off at each of your resorts. And then if you're not staying on property, the bus will drop you off at the ceremony location where your car is, and then you can just drive off from there. Okay, and then this last question. How to book your venue. So this part here gave me a lot of anxiety, because you realize, okay, you might not get your first pick. So the way Disney works for your venue is you need to pick your top 3. Okay, you need to pick your top 3 for the ceremony, and then you need to pick a top 3 for your reception. So you know how I said that you first meet the wedding planner at like 18 months, but then you don't start planning until 12 months? So you have like a 6-month gap where if 2 brides want the same venue on the same day at the same time, it turns into kind of like a draw. So what they end up doing is they'll just like put your name like in a hat, and then they'll pick it out and they'll be like, oh, this venue goes to this person. So you might not get your first pick. And for me, that gave me a lot of anxiety, because like I really, really wanted, everybody really, really wants their first pick. But you don't find out until your 1 year mark. That's when you find out what venue you get. And then the same thing happens with the ceremony. So make sure you go in there kind of like with an open mind that you probably might not get your first pick. So make sure your top 3 are choices that you really, really want. 3 of them. I just wanted to share something about what's included in the price question. More of kind of like, what might you forget to include in the price? Because when you're, adding up all these prices for your wedding, you're just thinking of things like the location, the food for your guests, the DJ, the floral, all this other stuff. But then there's like some hidden prices that you forget to budget, and that's how you easily like go over your budget. So some things to remember that you're going to include in the price of your wedding. Number 1 is the transportation. You're going to have to rent this bus for your guests. Okay, so that's going to be added on to your price. And I believe each bus holds like 40 people, 50 people. So if you have a lot of guests, you might be renting more than one bus. My guest count was like around 40 to 50 people, so I only had to rent one bus. And then another vehicle you're going to rent is the vehicle that takes you and your husband for like the pictures, because you don't go with your guests, when you're transporting everybody. So you're either going to rent, the cheapest one is the limousine. So you're either going to rent the limousine, you're going to rent a horse and carriage, or you're going to rent like that nice vintage car. So it's going to happen, okay? And then it's just based on which price can you afford. So don't forget to include that in your budget. Another thing I had forgotten about is the tax and the tip for the waiters that are catering your event. there's going to be, I think it's 24 to 25% tip added on to how many guests are coming. Okay. And then after you add up everything, you're going to get charged a 7% tax. So just to keep in mind, you know, those are some like hidden fees that I didn't think about. And then I was just like, oh my God, I went over budget. But really, like, don't stress out. Like, I know you think it's going to be super, super expensive. And I was just recently on the Disney website to check out the prices. And it is very overwhelming. You know, you see something says $5,000, it says another $5,000, it says $10,000, you know, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is adding up to like $50,000. Those are just like base prices. Like, you're not going to get your price until you go see a planner. And really, I don't know how they do it, but when I added everything up, because I kept a good track, so I knew where my money was going, what I added up was not the receipt that I got from Disney. It was actually a lot less. And you're gonna like pay all of this money like over time, over months, but like if you overpay, Disney will give you back your money based on, like, for example, which happened at my wedding, I actually got $200 back from Disney. Yay! I had paid for 50 people, but 50 people didn't show up. It was 40 people. So they gave me back my money for those 10 plates that weren't used. Okay. So really, I mean, my advice to you is to just at least go check it out. Don't be scared. And I'm pretty sure, you know, everybody can afford a Disney wedding. And feel free to leave me comments, feedback, anything, like, subscribe, I guess. I don't really post on YouTube. But if you want me to, I will. Bye.